contacted me and said that there's a company, don't go to their website,
Okay.
but there's a really good company, and they have a good culture, and they're going to go after this competition overseas. And you just moved to California, would you be interested in talking to them? So I went, I met with them, I liked the people I met, and afterwards they wouldn't tell me, there's something confidential, it's an NDA, but there's a competition, would you be interested in joining us to join this competition? So I was like, okay, I will do this, and that was the Cleveland Clinic. But the competition looked nothing like this. But what it was is actually the genesis of starting talking about ideas. The company recognized that the way they were doing healthcare was pretty much planning driven, and this was going to be a unique opportunity in a different part of the world that we were up against, big global design firms. So that was a company where people at HDR said, you can't. We couldn't do a double skin wall. We understand you have a thesis. We know that those are the things that you've done, but we can't stand behind it. We're worried. We're worried. Our reputation, all those things.
We can't.
Yeah, we can't. So lo and behold, it's now 8 years in operation. So that's really the genesis. And then of course I met Brian in 2008, and then I moved in 2010 to New York. What I really want to talk about as well is just and I'll go quickly, is that attention to detail. This actually, I think you heard Brian, yes, 2 days ago we were at Columbus. We were looking at this beautiful building that we designed. And it was also reimagining a healthcare facility, breaking the module. Brian, you can add to this. But how do we actually take ideas and make them real? Attention to detail. Oftentimes we're told, designers, you're done here, we'll give it to the PA. And we said, no, damn it, we're staying on. There will be a continuation. Someone's going to stay on. We're going to see oversight. And actually one of our previous boot campers, his name is Mike Mastriano, and you'll see him in a minute, he really took that on as the 100% full-time designer on this. He's right there on the right. And this was, we went to look at a dry lay in Italy for the stone. We sourced the stone overseas, we actually matched it, and we laid every single pair in warehouses to get it and numbered them, to make sure everything kind of matched well. So when it's shipped and created, it would be easier for the contractor to build. So great ideas are brilliant, but you need to insist, have that kind of drive to see it through. Look at the detail. It gets boring looking at hundreds of sheets of details, but it's really essential.
This is the perfect example of a setup introduction. What was Brian's word for Mo last night at the table? That's right. See? See the consistency? There we go.
So yeah, this was a couple of days ago. So you saw the renderings, and this is actually a photograph. This is, I took the picture. Here's Brian, and here's our endorser. The project champion is Ed Lampert, who's holding the treasure of the $2 billion. He became, let's say, instrumental, because he trusted during the competition phase. I wasn't part of that. Brian was. Brian built a connection with him. They went to 7 firms or something? It was a 3-month interview. It wasn't even just...
It was 3 5-hour interviews.
Yes.
And he wanted to see how we reacted to situations.
Yeah. And they
was
posed problems, and very shrewd individual, really knows what he wants, who he was representing as a client, and then Brian built that connection. So...
And he was very detail oriented too.
Of course.
He there was a period of architecture where the big swoop was the idea. I totally am thrilled that you're saying, but it's the detail that takes that idea to the next level.
Correct.
And if you don't have that and you don't love the process of using not maybe your own hands, but other people's hands effectively, and machines and tools, and you don't embrace all of that, you can't take that idea all the way.
And this is not about us making, design is something inherent. You either are a designer, I think Brian said it yesterday, you either are a designer or you're not. But this is all about honing that skill that you have. We're here to kind of share how we honed our skills.
And it really doesn't matter whether it's the tree grade and the
Absolutely.
way you handle a hill,
Yeah.
or it's the interior and the way you handle lighting,
Yeah.
or it's the exterior skin and stone. All of it matters. And this too is a change at HDR, that we are really reflecting the intersectionality of all of our skill sets to take it to the next level.
All right, so we talked about individual, introductions, that being important in how you work. Mohammed just spoke about the idea of detail, but again, I'm going to bring it back to communication, because the reason we can do all that detail you just spoke about is communicating to the client the need to do that. I mean, if you go back 2 photographs, this idea of being able to develop this patient, it's a hospital. I really don't do many hospitals. I just do big hospitals, right? But one more. It's the idea of doing a patient room that faces east and west, which is really tough on this site. That deals with the solar aspect of that, but focuses the edge of the building as a family room and the patient room. Okay, so we designed the room around the idea of how family can help heal. And it was also the idea of a changeable building, right? Because hospital, this is it's like a 72-bed floor unit. It's just that really big. So Ed the other day says, Brian, he goes, this building looks different if you look up the street like this. Or you look down the street, it looks like this. I'm going, yeah, damn it. Yeah, that's the point, And so the idea, the communication, all that kind of stuff happens, and then in the end, it goes full circle. But communicating that idea, it's not just that it's beautiful, it's stone from Portugal, it's glass from Germany, because that doesn't sell anybody anything. Or it's not saying, this is a sustainable solution, we're responsible. That's good, but not going to sell anything. The idea here is that it's a combination of family room, imagery, sustainability together. So the second nugget here is introducing yourself. The second one is have it be comprehensive, like what you were saying about that connection to detail and big picture. Clients, really smart, amazing people, don't get that. We get that.
Yeah.
The power that we have as presenters to communicate an idea that goes from healing with a family, seeing along the street, being sustainable, and be beautiful in detail. That's not how the average person thinks. It's how we think. Communicate it that way. You become like a sage, and they go, "Oh, he's really smart," Like, no, we just think about it differently. But that allows you to do what you do. It isn't just, oh, the client didn't want this, or the client's happy.
Yeah.
Who cares? The idea is important. I care about the client.
Of course.
If we only satisfied clients, we'd really be pretty boring.
Mediocre.
Or sorry about that, but that image kind of gave me the picture of him saying, "Yeah, look at that. It looks different." Yeah.
And the next few slides, and then I'll go to a video. I have to end with a video. But I work all over the world. But this actually, about a year ago, we were contacted. This is Wilton, Connecticut. There's a campus for a semiconductor company. As you can see, they've been there since the 70s. It's manufacturing, clean rooms, things I know nothing about. But I know that this was going to be in my town. And we, through a structural partner, they contacted us and said, "Hey, are you guys interested in talking to them? They want to do an expansion on this area here. They want to add this 125,000 square foot building, which will be loading docks, industrial stuff, and clean rooms and things that everybody runs away from, And I thought, damn, I've never done one. I'd like to do this. But let's talk to them about ideas, because that part of Connecticut is actually quite beautiful, that this thing has become an industrial monstrosity. And so we talked about, how do you actually conceal a loading dock? How do you find, office and lab, and what they have is the clean rooms, and potentially it becomes warehousing or office and lab and storage. And usually, you know, clean rooms and industrial warehousing is just big boxes like the rest of ASML. If you Google it, it's always metal. And we just, and they have to basically intensively cool it to keep the temperature down. So we told them, what if we actually lift the glass? And there's triple pane and a frit, and you actually can have a perimeter corridor, and we will keep it as a thermal glass box. It's the inverse of clean and clinic, you know, it's to create a thermosflask. So behind all that is actually all your clean rooms and manufacturing, and then this is where your loading docks, I mean, these are big containers, but let's conceal that as well. Let's extend the kind of the plaza and create green space yourself. So they entertained it. They said, let's just do this. But simple ideas, you know, nestled away, and underneath that is all your loading, like all the stuff that's quite ugly is underneath and it's hidden. And because we have multi-million-dollar homes and neighbors overlooking this, this is something that actually today at 4 o'clock have an architecture review board with the town on this. So we are trying to pull this through. So that's really, you know, we work all over the world, but there are moments when it comes right home. You know. And before I end it, is like the art of telling a story. So I'm walking you through this, but there are moments where we can't actually, you know, if we're dealing with culture, differences, and everything. Sometimes we create videos to tell a story. So the last thing is a project in Saudi Arabia. And it's a mega medical city and housing and residential. And we intentionally said no audio, like the sound, but there's no vocals. But it's a play on light and shadow. And we can, and you might have to click that,
Try.
right?
Let's see if it'll autoplay. Or do you have to
Oh,
click?
you have to click it for me.
I can do
Oh,
it.
I think I'll just.
Yeah, you got it.
How do we take advantage of sunrise and sunsets? You know, how to tell. This is like in the northern part of the kingdom, quite hot. It's about 150 kilometers south of the Iraqi border. It's in El Juf. You'll see there were no palm trees because there's actually an intent from the kingdom now is not to replant because palm trees use up a lot of water. So find other indigenous trees. So you know everything was measured in that sense. Usually Middle East would just put lots of palm trees. You know, no one will know. It's supposed to open by 2030. It's been a slow construction effort, but it's the first phase is already, concrete is up and out of the ground. I think the next is you're next.
Might be. All right, thanks, Mo. That's the